Dear friends, welcome back to the Crimson Academy course on the Kitab-i-Iqan. In this section, we're exploring paragraphs 31 through 37. The first part of Baha'u'llah's interpretation of the meaning of the sun, the moon, and the stars is studied. In this section, we like to look for and understand the following key points. Baha'u'llah has interpreted the sun as the sun of truth that appears through the manifestations of God. The metaphor of the physical sun illustrates the power and influence of the sun of truth. The term immaculate souls refers to the 12 imams of Shia Islam, the rightful successors of Muhammad. The term suns, moons, and stars can be interpreted as the prophets of God, the saints and their companions. The term suns, moons, stars can be a reference to the divines of the former dispensation. In paragraph 31, Baha'u'llah explains that the first meaning of the word sun is the sun of truth that appears and sheds a new light on the world of existence as the manifestations of God. For example, Baha'u'llah states, "Unto every discerning observer it is evident and manifest that had these people in the days of each of the manifestations of the Sun of Truth sanctified their eyes, their ears, and their hearts from whatever they had seen, heard, and felt, they surely would not have been deprived of beholding the beauty of God, nor strayed far from the habitations of glory." And this is from Gleanings from the Writings of Baha'u'llah, pages 18 to 19, and Tablets of Baha'u'llah, pages 14 through 50. In another tablet, in reference to his revelation, Baha'u'llah affirms, "O Shaykh, I swear by the Sun of Truth, which hath risen and shineth above the horizon of this prison." That is from Epistle to the Son of the Wolf, page 36. Abdul-Baha also states, "The blessed beauty is the Sun of Truth, and his light the light of truth. The Bab is likewise the Sun of Truth, and his light the light of truth." And that is Abdul-Baha cited in the World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 133. The Baha'i sacred writings are rich in metaphors and analogies, relating to the power and impact of the Sun of Truth to the physical sun. Paragraph 31 is one example in which Baha'u'llah illustrates the transformation brought about by the Sun of Truth in the world of existence in the context of the life-giving influence of the physical sun on a tree. As the result of the animating rays of the suns of truth and their loving care and educative influence, the trees of divine unity come into existence. Under the influence of the Sun of Truth, those trees produce the fruits of his oneness, the leaves of detachment, the blossoms of knowledge and certitude, the myrtles of wisdom and utterance. In the next part of this paragraph, Baha'u'llah draws a parallel between the role of the vitalizing energy released from the physical sun in the birth and growth of all earthly things and the creative power of the Sun of Truth. Through the appearance and influence of the Sun of Truth, the world is made anew. The waters of everlasting life stream forth. The billows of loving kindness surge. The clouds of grace are gathered. The breeze of bounty bloweth upon all created things. The analogy of the physical sun is applied in another context in the Baha'i writings. For example, Baha'u'llah describes the rationale for the gradual rise of the Sun of Truth as, "Consider the sun, how feeble its rays the moment it appeareth above the horizon, how gradually its warmth and potency increase as it approacheth its zenith, enabling meanwhile all created things to adapt themselves to the growing intensity of its light. how steadily it declineth, until it reacheth its settling point. Were it all of a sudden to manifest the energies latent within it, it would no doubt cause injury to all created things. In like manner, if the Sun of Truth were suddenly to reveal, at the earliest stages of its manifestation, the full measure of the potencies which the providence of the Almighty hath bestowed upon it, the earth of human understanding would waste away and be consumed, for men's hearts would neither sustain the intensity of its revelation, nor be able to mirror forth the radiance of its light. Dismayed and overpowered, they would cease to exist. And this is from the gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah, pages 87 through 88. In paragraph 33, Baha'u'llah explains the meaning of the sun as used in the writings and sayings of the Immaculate Souls, who are in the 12 Imams of Islam. They have used sun as a reference to the prophets of God. In the Baha'i writings, the 12 Imams are considered as the lawful successors of the Apostle of God, the title of Muhammad. And this is reference in God Passes By, page 9. Also, Promised Day is Come, page 97, page 108, and also World Order of Baha'u'llah, pages 178. Baha'u'llah regards them as the manifestations of the power of God and the sources of his authority and the repositories of his knowledge and the daysprings of his commandments. This reference is Epistle to the Son of the Wolf, page 90. The beloved guardian states that in the dispensation of Baha'u'llah, the validity of the imamate is, moreover, implicitly recognized in the same passages that divinely appointed institution, of whose most distinguished member, the beloved Bab himself, was a lineal descendant, and which continued for a period of no less than 260 years to be the chosen recipient of the guidance of the Almighty and the repository of one of the two most precious legacies of Islam. Friends, this is from Baha'u'llah, quoted by the beloved guardian in the World Order of Baha'u'llah, pages 102. The first Imam was Ali, the son-in-law of Muhammad. In his will, Ali appointed his son Hassan as his successor. Hassan was followed by his brother Hussein as the leader of Shia Islam, and the third Imam. The hereditary succession in Shia Islam continued until the 11th Imam, Hassan al-Asqari, who had no son to succeed him. The Shia Muslims were thrown into confusion after his death, and they broke up into 20 different sects. This was the year AH 260, after Hijrah 260, in which the imamate ended as there was no successor. After the passing of the 11th Imam, the majority of the Shia Muslims believed that he had a son, Muhammad, who lived hidden from the eyes of man. From this belief came the messianic expectation in Shia Islam of the awaited coming of the Qayyam. This was one of the prophecies fulfilled by the Bab as the awaited 12th Imam of the Shia Muslims. In paragraph 33, Baha'u'llah mentions the prayer of Nudbeh as one example of the application of sun to the manifestations of God by the Immaculate Souls. Nudbeh in Farsi means lamentation and wailing. The prayer of Nudbeh is one of the well-known prayers in Shia Islam. According to reliable Shia Muslim sources, the 12th Imam, the Qayyam, wrote this prayer for Shia Muslims. In this prayer, the reader wails to God for the absence of the resplendent suns, shining moons, and sparkling stars. In one of the sections of the prayer, the reader laments that the promised Qayyam has not appeared to eradicate oppression and injustice from the world, and to re-establish the laws and teachings of the religion. And friends, this is from Ishraq Qabari, Kitáb-i-Iqán in Farsi, volume 2, pages 739-740. Baha'u'llah states that the sun and moons and the stars are references to the prophets of God, the saints and their companions. In paragraph 36, Baha'u'llah states that another intended meaning of terms such as sun, moons, and stars is the divines of the former dispensation, who live at the time of the appearance of the new manifestation of God, and control the old religion. These divines would continue to radiate as the sun and moon if they recognize the new manifestation of God and become the recipient of learning, of divine favor, and of the light of true understanding. Otherwise, they would lose their light like a star that encounters the effulgent splendor of the sun. In order to illustrate his interpretation, Baha'u'llah quotes a verse from the Quran in paragraph 36. Verily, the sun and the moon are both condemned to the torment of infernal fire. And this, friends, is from the Quran, chapter 55, verse 5. It is obvious that the terms sun and moon in this verse cannot be taken literally, as the physical sun and moon cannot be condemned to the punishment of fire of hell. Baha'u'llah points out that his interpretation goes against the beliefs held by the religious leaders of the time. The Shia and Sunni Muslims have interpreted this term sun and moon in this verse to mean the physical sun and moon, and the predicate used in this verse in relation to the sun and moon, the Arabic word behuzban, as accurate times. Hence the Muslim clergy have interpreted the verse as the sun and moon rise and set at accurate times according to the will of God. Such an interpretation can also be observed in the English translation of this verse. For example, Rodwell has translated the verse as the sun and the moon have each their times. In the interpretation made by Baha'u'llah, Behu Huzban is interpreted to mean reckoning, and is translated into English as condemned to the torment of infernal fire. Another interpretation of this verse current among the Shia Muslims is based on a hadith from Imam Raza, the 8th Imam of Shia Islam, that identifies the two Sunni Khulafa, the Sunni Caliphs, Abu Bakr and Umar, as the sun and moon. Very good, friends.